Hey guys, welcome back. So, since the Halo Infinite trailer released, you've probably seen quite a lot of people getting really fucking excited at the likely chance of the game being set on Installation 07, also known as Zeta Halo. Well, I am one of these people because for years now, I've been begging 343 to set another game or story or something on this ring because its history is without a doubt one of the coolest and deepest in the entire Halo universe. For fans of the Flood, Mendicant Bias, Ancient Foreigner stuff, and anything of that era of the Halo universe, there could not be a better setting for a game. So today, we are going to look at why Halo Infinite being set on Installation 07 is so cool and so significant. Installation 07 was a key part of the Foreigner's war against the Flood that shaped the Halo universe as it is today. The ring was part of the original senescent array of rings. Now, this array consisted of 12 rings that were 3 times the size of the array in the galaxy today, and was constructed by Faber, the master builder, and put under control of the AI Mendicant Bias. In part of her deal with Faber the master builder, the librarian was permitted to safely house humans on the ring, as part of her conservation measure. These humans, however, were later used by Faber in sickening, torturous experiments in an attempt to try, at the very least, to find a cure for the Flood, although sadly, nothing was ever found. Some years later, Faber ordered Mendicant Bias to test fire Installation 07 above Charum Hakor, an ancient human planet, which ultimately freed a captive from its near-impervious chamber, the Primordial, the last known precursor. It was essentially a hybrid of a precursor and a Gravemind. A very nasty combination. This Primordial was then taken to Installation 07 and imprisoned on it, and then ultimately interrogated by Mendicant Bias for 43 years, during which the Primordial managed to infect Mendicant with the Logic Plague, causing it to go rampant and join the side of the Flood, an event that would absolutely turn the tide of the entire war. Mendicant then proceeded to release the Flood from the research facilities on the ring, causing most of the installation to be infected by the parasite. The ring then disappeared for 43 years, before showing back up during Faber's trial at the Foreigner capital of Maythrillion, where Mendicant fired the ring, wiping out near all life on the capital. The ring then retreated through a portal where it underwent significant repairs, while Mendicant and the Primordial continued torturing humans for nothing but their own pleasure. Ultimately, however, the Isodidact and his fleet found the ring. They disabled Mendicant Bias, destroyed the Primordial, and then discharged 2/3 of the ring to bring it down to 10,000 kilometers in diameter, as opposed to the 30,000 kilometer diameter of the other rings in the senescent array, which made it roughly the size as all the other rings in the new Neoteric array. It was then added to this array and then formally named Zeta Halo. So that's a sort of nice little broad history of the ring. Now we're going to look at some of the more in detail events on it, starting off with Faber and the ancient humans. So as we know, the librarian stored groups of sort of near prehistoric humans on Installation 07 as part of her more ethical countermeasure to the construction of the Halos, the conservation measure. However, Faber illegally went against this measure by experimenting on humans, by extracting their Gaesh to try and find a cure for the Flood. He ended up also shipping humans from Earth to the ring for experimentation too, which actually could have some thematic significance in Infinite if you sort of think about it. Later on, when the Primordial was released from its prison and Mendicant Bias was infected with the Logic Plague, the Primordial informed Faber that the Flood could not be cured, but that he should continue these experiments because they all gained pleasure out of it, sick sadistic pleasure. These experiments were conducted in a place the humans called the Palace of Pain, which were also known as Flood research facilities, like the ones that we went to in Halo CE and also Halo 2. Now, we have these cave scribings in the trailer, which right now, based on all of the evidence, we're assuming are ancient human, that so far have been loosely deciphered to mean either enemy within, or ghosts from the past. Now, could ghosts from the past be something ancient humans wrote to maybe commemorate those killed in the Palace of Pain? Maybe these scribings are in the Palace of Pain, and we actually get to go there in the game, or at the very least, this shot in the trailer is in the Palace of Pain. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, given what the scribings link to and the fact that this trailer makes a real point of showing them to us, it's safe to say that this part of Zeta Halo's dark past is like bound to play a part in Infinite's story. I would be shocked if it's not even referenced. Now, moving on to something that a lot of people are talking about, because this dude is a fan favourite character. Mendicant Bias. Now, it's something that people have wanted and predicted would play a large role in almost every Halo game since Halo 3, but that's actually yet to happen, at least as far as we know. But what are its connections to Halo Infinite and Zeta Halo? Well, as we already covered, it was the custodian of the ring, as issued by the Master Builder. It used the ring to accidentally free the Primordial, and it was corrupted with the Logic Plague by the Primordial on the ring. So it has a fair few connections. However, what remains of Mendicant Bias isn't on Installation 07, it's nowhere near. It's far, far away on the Ark. The last we heard of it was during Halo 3, where it stated that it wanted to atone for its sins, basically atone for the damage that it caused to the Foreigners and to the galaxy when it got the Logic Plague. Now, there's no reason that it couldn't have found its way to Zeta Halo after Halo 3. I mean, there's a decently sized 7-year gap between Halo 3 and Infinite for it to do so, but the ways in which it could are very, very unlikely to happen. If you're a believer of the very, very popular theory that the Mendicant Bias was responsible for bringing the Spirit of Fire to the Ark in Halo Wars 2, then that 7-year gap then shrinks to a 1-year gap, which makes it even more unlikely that it would have managed to get from the Ark to Zeta Halo in a year. It's just not likely. However, with all that said, it does not mean by any means that Mendicant couldn't still play a big role in Infinite. The primary extension of Mendicant Bias, his core, is still on Installation 07, buried in a hard-like spiderweb deep below the surface of the ring. This core was where ancient humans were taken to be assessed by Mendicant during those experiments we talked about earlier, so maybe the enemy within translation of the wall scribings relates to Mendicant Bias? Honestly, to me, that kind of does make sense if they are ancient human scribings, that is. Considering he was literally within the ring itself, it just makes sense. But either way, I know we've all said this before, but with the game being set on Installation 07, a ring with such deep history and so many connections to the biggest events in Mendicant Bias's life as an AI, I will be absolutely paralysed, dumbstruck, if we don't get at least references to him in the game. Like, I would be shocked. I wouldn't expect a full-blown cameo, considering that he was last seen on the Ark, but honestly, I have a feeling that he'll play at least some part in the story, at the very least. At the very, very least. However, what if when the ancient humans etched enemy within on the walls, they weren't referring to Mendicant Bias? What if instead they were referring to the Flood? Now, if they were, it would link really, really well to Installation 07's backstory, because, like Mendicant and the Ancient Humans, the ring is also very, very intertwined with the Flood. As we know, the ring was where the horrific attempts were made to find a cure for the Flood, and where the last precursor/gravemind, the Primordial, was stored before it ultimately gained control of the ring through Mendicant Bias. Also, during the Foreigner Flood War, the ring was totally overwhelmed and infected by the Flood, by the then corrupt Mendicant Bias. It released Flood specimens from their containment, allowing them to spread across the ring. However, towards the end of the war, when the Foreigners had regained control of the ring, they actually managed to save a lot of the human specimens stored on the ring by the Librarian. At the same time, they also preserved some of the Flood infestation on the ring too, so infected Foreigners that had been composed by the Composer were stored on the ring, along with 10 active proto-gravemind, which were left to be watched over by a number of the remaining monitors. So the ring remained in this state until the end of the war, where the Neoteric Array, the array present in the Halo universe today, was fired to destroy the Flood. Now, in the past, it's been sort of up in the air whether specimens on a Halo ring are destroyed when it's fired, but Kenneth Peters, who's one of the lead writers over at 343, confirmed not too long ago that that is indeed the case, they are destroyed. So, this means that those proto-graveminds were very, very likely destroyed at the end of the war. However, Flood specimens stored in Flood research facilities weren't, just like on all the other installations. So at the very least, there's still some Flood active in research facilities on Zeta Halo. That being said, something quite interesting happened a few years ago. So Catalog, which was a foreign AI that was sort of commenting on Halo Waypoint forum posts and was controlled by 343 writers, stated on the forums when asked about Installation 07's quarantine that records provided to human naval authorities by allied elites indicate implementation of adequate containment and sterilization protocols within the infected zone. Human and allied elite search and assess groups continue monitoring and remediation efforts on site. Now, this insinuates that some Flood were somehow left over on the surface of the ring, and that the elites, likely the Arbiter Swords of Sanghelios, glassed the surface in 2558, cleansing it of the Flood. Now, considering that no Flood were encountered on the ring by only research teams during Hunters in the Dark, which was set 3 years prior in 2555, that means that either A, there was an outbreak between 2555 and 2558 that somehow went unnoticed until the elites glassed it, B, Flood specimens possibly broke containment, or the elites destroyed containment facilities to ensure the Flood couldn't one day break out, or C, Halo 5 is set in late 2558, which means that Cortana's Guardians could have EMP'd Zeta Halo for some reason, freeing the Flood from containment and requiring the elites to go and quell the infestation with their glassing beams. There's also the idea that Catalog was maybe referring to Installation 05 and wrote 07 by accident, but I feel like if that was the case, then 343 would have clarified it by now. It's been about 4 years since this was written, and I couldn't imagine them leaving such a big error out there for 4 years without clarifying it or retconning it or something. Ultimately, if Infinite is set on Zeta Halo, which is as confirmed as it can be right now, there's bound to be some connections to the Flood, because even if you ignore all of the lore that we just touched on, 343 have very clearly been listening to the community about the art style complaints, and after Halo 5, there's been a shitload of people that have been asking and begging for the Flood to return, so maybe they listen to that as well. I mean, with how the art style is looking, we honestly have no reason to doubt that, so let's just keep our fingers crossed. Alrighty, that should just about cover everything you guys need to know about Installation 07, of course, with a nice side of speculation too. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I want to give a big thank you to the usual boys over on Patreon for the support: Ardent, Tomahawk, Taylor, Evan, Locust, Momo, Shikata, Foxy, Mjolnir, Matthew, Pierre, Jack Madden, Stefan Curcic, Eric Brown, Sam Grafton, Regan Sink, and Bruin98. Thankfully, your boy isn't feeling like trash anymore, so expect another spicy video out later this week sometime. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in that spicy video.